The medication that I take for when I have a flare are quite, they're very strong, because a lot of times you'll be given medication like steroids, which are supposed to suppress your immunity. Remember, your immunity is fighting
Itself.
it's fighting itself. It's fighting your body. So you want to reduce this immunity to a level where it will not cause havoc. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of Beyond Conditions. We are going through the lupus series, and last week we had a chance to understand the basics. This week, we will be looking at what it takes and how it is to navigate life with lupus. And I'm your host, Trish Barasa.
I'm your host, John Marvin, and today in this episode, we're tackling navigating life through an SLE as an SLE patient. And the first question is, how is a day in your life as an SLE survivor or an SLE patient?
So, a typical day for me is one where I try to avoid overexertion. So I really moderate on my energies. I really manage my energies, because then when I overexert, I'm likely to end up into an inflammatory phase. Also, I'm careful how much stress to take in, and what things to take on, physical activities. And I also just want to check my diet every other time, because there are some things which are likely to push you towards an inflammatory response, as opposed to just having a non-inflammatory situation. And I generally just make sure that I plan myself well, do, small piece stuff, like piece by piece, as opposed to just taking on a whole toll of activities. Yeah.
I'd like to ask, maybe it's more of a personal question. So, for instance, what are the things that you'd like to do that are prevented by you being a lupus patient or survivor?
Okay, so even when just basic, say, hosting of guests and cooking for them, and house chores, I really have to apportion my tasks in pieces.
So you are basically saying multitasking is difficult.
Not entirely difficult, but a heavy load would end up being overexertion on my end, and it would send me into a flare or an inflammatory process, which would not be good for me. So I really just have small portions of things at the same time, whether it's cleaning, whether it's just, even if I'm hosting guests, if I host guests on Saturday, I'll try not to host guests on Sunday so that I get to rest. Yeah, otherwise I could easily find myself in bed and unwell on Monday.
So, for instance, how do you manage your symptoms, treatment, side effects?
So the medication that I take for when I have a flare are quite, they're very strong, because a lot of times you'll be given medication like steroids, which are supposed to suppress your immunity. Remember, your immunity is fighting
Itself.
it's fighting itself. It's fighting your body. So you want to reduce this immunity to a level where it will not cause havoc. While you're doing that, you're also putting yourself into danger of getting any infection your way, because if you suppress it too low, you will find that now you're getting all manner of infections. You pass somebody who has a cold or a flu, you get it. Yeah, because now you've pushed the immunity too low. So it's a delicate balance. How I manage is I ensure that first, at least I understand what the medications are doing to me and what side effects they come with, so that I can at least be able to benefit from the good side of the medicine. And maybe if I have to deal with any side effects, it's at the minimal end. I regularly discuss with the doctors, in case I'm having a difficult time with any of my medications, so that they can consider an alternative. because there are some times that some medication may be hard on you and not hard on someone else. And there are some which, because you have another condition and there is an interaction between that condition and the medication you're taking and that other one, it could bring a problem. So I keep myself educated. I keep talking to my medical practitioners. It's a daily learning process.
So in other terms, how has SLE affected you and your relationship with family members and friends in general?
It starts actually from even just the medication, having to take medication for this condition, which sometimes means suppressing your immunity, is in itself quite difficult because it can come with a lot of side effects. But generally, my relationships have been affected in that there are times I have to say no to some activities, some social activities.
Like,
That a party,
okay,
maybe travel, because I know very well that at this particular time my joints cannot handle. I prioritize comfort and self over so many other things. And sometimes this has meant that I am socially excluded. But keeping the communication open with family and letting them know that maybe at this time I'm having a flare or at this time I'm really not feeling good, they do understand, and sometimes they make adjustments for me. But there are times when I have to be the one to miss out. Yes. So generally just keeping people knowing what you're going through in case it's a difficult time and letting them know that there are certain things that may not be possible.
so in other terms, being a lupus patient or survivors limits you to maybe many activities that you'd want, but due to your conditions you can't.
Correct. Yeah.
So
there
which
are times
means,
there are times I have to turn down an invite. There are times I don't want to, but I have to. There are times I have taken up an invite and I have ended up ill.
okay.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
for people who don't know that you're suffering or you're going through these lupus conditions, what are their reactions for those who don't know?
Well, sometimes you only tell the much you want to tell. You limit disclosure. So I could easily just come up with an excuse. Yeah, I don't always have to tell people, so I can't come because I have lupus. No. There are times when I will just say that I'm not going to be able to join you this time, maybe next time. Yeah, and just I limit also how much I can be able to share out there, how much I can disclose about my own health to really what is necessary.
I think you have a specific diet that you do, or is you just eat anything as normal people do?
I've I've found myself having to make changes on my diet. Previously, I loved so much nyama choma and red meat. I had to cut this down to at least bare minimum. I had to cut out wheat products, gluten.
Which products?
Yes, because they somehow it's person specific, but for me, I seem to experience a lot more inflammation with these products. So I'm basically having a lot more of the vegetables, and this also, are very supportive of a healthy body. So they support you, and you feel like you thrive more. For me, I have a lot more vegetables and fruits. I eat meat, but not so much and so
Regularly.
regularly. Yes, I take bread, I take cakes, but not as many times as I used to before. Yeah.
So in like a three-dimensional meal, could you like kindly give us what you have for breakfast and then lunch and then supper? Or if you have 5 meals a day, what do you take?
I
Yeah.
well, I do small portions, so a lot of times I don't do the 3 times a day. You'll find I'll do 5 times a day.
Yeah.
Yes, I snack a lot, but I snack a lot on nuts as opposed to the other snacks that we are used to, and fruit. Yeah, and I eat eggs, I eat beans, I eat chicken and fish. And I just try to have a diet that's healthy to promote and support my body's response despite living with lupus.
I
Yes.
think that you have tackled that. Maybe you've fed my thoughts. And is you balancing work and other things that you do? How do you balance?
So one of the biggest things that I deal with as a lupus patient survivor is my energy levels really get depleted. And sometimes my mornings are very rough. And I've mentioned the symptoms of stiff joints and very inflamed, painful joints. So knowing that, I have negotiated for flexi times, mornings which start out a little bit late, so that my body can defrost, if I can put it that way, and so that my body can now like get back into form. And then I give a lot more hours when the body is in better form. I also negotiate a lot more for working from home, remote work, because this then I'm able to deliver on my work, because in the end, I explained to my bosses that I prioritize productivity. I would like to deliver and deliver my best. And I have seen myself delivering more
When at home?
with this, yeah. Being aware that if I am supported through this journey, I am able to do much more and better work. Yeah.
Yeah. So, how many hours do you take while working, or do you have like a significant period of time that you work?
I try not to exceed 6 hours in a day of work. Yeah. Yeah. Because then it's overexerting on my end. And if I do more than that, I'll likely not be able to do even 1 hour, and the next day I'll probably be ill or indisposed in bed and stuff.
Ah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, in the other maybe question that I'd like us to tackle is the strategies that you use to tackle, yeah, psychological impact of SLE on you.
A bit complex. Let me see. For starters, I really, really try not to allow stress come my way unless it's very necessary. So you will find that I don't tackle things that I consider unnecessary stressors in my life. I only deal with the necessary stressors. If it's life and death, well
Well,
and good.
yeah,
I will go the full 9 yards. If it's not life and death, I'll tell
yeah,
you I'm sorry. So
can't
I
work.
also, yes, so I also prioritize self-care. I eat healthy. I try to eat very healthy. I'm that person who you're sure will have a vegetable in
Yes.
her meals, yeah. And then I I do a lot of mindfulness. I'm aware that my body has its limits, and so I don't push it, because I know if I push it too hard, it will come crumbling down. It's a house of cards.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the other thing is I I keep my support systems aware of my situation so that they can also support my process. Yeah. And I exercise, but I ensure that my exercises are not overexerting, because if they are overexerting, then I'll obviously be ill in another just short period of time. I try to also get adequate amount of sleep. I know sometimes even having lupus in itself will be a causer to insomnia. So I really try to have a working sleep pattern, which supports me to have enough rest so that I can be able to give my best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You mentioned exercise. You do exercises. So I think for basic knowledge that I know, exercise and maybe diet goes hand in hand. So what's the importance of exercise in the world of an SLE patient or survivor?
Particularly when you look at the bit where the joints are very much involved in SLE inflammation, you want to keep mobility, you want to be mobile. You don't want to find yourself having limited range of motion because you have stuck in a very stiff place for long. So it's besides just also the good hormones which promote well-being of any person, for me, it's also just helps me to get moving, to be mobile.
Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
so, is there an instance or incident that when you are working out, maybe you have like pain on the joints or you become stiff?
Oh, yes, that happens so many times. And my coach, my trainer, is aware of my challenges, and he's a sports injury coach. And whenever he's dealing with me, he knows that he's dealing with a person who lives with lupus. And so he's aware to support the process of my well being.
Okay.
Yeah.
That said, I think maybe a precaution that for maybe patients that are working out to work out with a coach or something.
Yeah, if you can ensure that you involve a specialist in these exercises, because you don't want to push yourself too hard to a point where you end up being ill, as opposed to realizing the initial goal, which was to be well.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
So that said, I think we have tackled what you wanted to hear. Or if there is more, you can maybe text us on or comment on the comment section. You can maybe say what you have not tackled. I think we have come to the end of this episode, exciting episode. I'm excited to learn more and more and more. And I think that said, I've been your host, John Marvin.
And I'm your host, Trish. And remember, May is Lupus Awareness Month. And if you can, get yourself tested if at all you suspect that you are exhibiting symptoms of lupus. There are specific tests which can help you get a definitive diagnosis. And we look forward to seeing you again. I'm your host, Trish Barasa.